This is Burn This Book, a podcast where we, Nicole and Eden, read a banned or challenged book twice a month and discuss its meaning, impact, and censorship to make it more accessible for all readers. This week's book is Fun Home, a family tragicomic by Alison Bechdel of the Bechdel test fame, which was published in 2006. Joining us today is Kendra Larsen, calling in from Las Vegas. Woo!
Woo!
Kendra, tell us about yourself and why you chose this book to talk about.
Okay, I'm Kendra. I'm so excited to be here. I'm a visual artist in Las Vegas, and I have a pretty minimal social media presence, but if you want to find me, you can find me on Instagram at Kendrogenous, which is like the word androgynous, and my name in one. And this...
Wordplay.
Yeah.
She's a good reader.
Thank you for saying that. This is my second time reading Fun Home. So when I first read this book, I was in my early 20s, and I was in a very different place as far as the relationship to my queerness. I was still a devout member of the church, and I was identifying as loosely as bisexual, who would never do anything about it. And I was definitely dealing with some like compet, but understanding that there was something there. And so the queer literature that I was consuming at the time, I think was like maybe even a little bit virtue signaling or like an attempt at being edgy or cool. And I wasn't really internalizing it or relating to the themes in the way that I did this time around. So it was really cool to read this now as an out lesbian and just relate to it in a very different way years later.
Oh, that's awesome. So cool. I'm very curious about the comparison, how you're able to contrast both of those experiences. Yeah. That's very cool.
Can I ironically point out that you're recording from a closet?
I know. I said to my girlfriend when I was coming in here, I was like, I'm going to go into the closet to record a podcast about a man who's dealing with being in the closet.
It's a method podcasting.
Yeah. I wanted to immerse myself in the experience.
There you go. There you go.
And we're so grateful. Talk about already a rich energy you're bringing to this.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah.
Can I add one more thing about Kendra? So Eden and I knew Kendra through, like, we had mutual friends, and so we crossed paths a lot. We were talking about this before the recording. We'd see each other at parties, at different things, and I'm going to speak for Eden as well, but we were always fans of Kendra, but we didn't really get the chance to get deep with Kendra. And so this is like, honestly, a very cool little like sparkly moment for me is to finally be able to have like one-on-one time, well, 2-on-1 time with someone I've been a fan of for like 15 years, especially like in very distantly a fan where I've like seen Kendra moving about on social media and been like, oh, it's a cool person. A lot of roller skating. I have like a memory of watching a lot of content.
Yes.
That is impressive.
Yes, and very much likewise. Big fan of the podcast. Big fan of both of you. Excited to rekindle this.
Thank you. Yay. Oh my gosh.
Let's go on to the summary. Tell us about it, Kendra.
Okay. So this book is really an autobiography by the author. She's covering what she experienced through her childhood and her relationship with her father. And that character's Alison. So she grew up in really an Addams Family-esque mansion that her dad was obsessed with renovating and redecorating. And he was also obsessed with gardening and using flowers in his decor. And his family kind of resented him for this because of the physical and emotional labor that was required of them to make his obsession come to life. He could also often be emotionally abusive. He sometimes would like threaten his children if they would ever criticize him or critique him. But she otherwise describes him as, in her words, being a sissy, and she really paints him to have a lot of feminine characteristics. The book is nonlinear, so it kind of flashes back and forth between different timelines. But we learned that when her parents were newly married, they moved to Germany, they had their first kid, and then they moved back into the fun home in the States, which is Alison's grandparents' funeral parlor. And it was around this time that Alison's mom first learned of her dad's affairs with men and boys. And she actually like paints a picture of her mom during this chapter of like the difference in brightness in her mom, and kind of talks about her mother never being the same and being kind of a cold figure in her life from this point on. But Alison spent years of her childhood with her brothers in the fun home, and they would play a lot, but they also had to do a lot of chores, and they were around death pretty often, pretty regularly. Alison wrestled with her own queerness throughout her childhood. She liked to dress up in her dad's clothes, and she like really rejected some of the feminine styles that her dad would put on her. But it wasn't until college that she really began dating women. And it talks about a girlfriend she has named Joan. And in her relationship with Joan, she starts reading more queer literature. She starts exploring more relationships with queer people, and like she joins a community of other students on campus, I believe. And she comes out to her parents during this time. She calls home and lets them know that she's dating a woman. And shortly after this, her mother reveals to her that her father had had these affairs with men and with boys, that he himself had been sexually abused when he was younger, and like continues to share this information that was new to Alison. And I think at this time she started to recall things from her own memory, including a time that her dad had to go to court. So when Alison's mother revealed these affairs to her, she also revealed one of the affairs being Roy, who was Alison's babysitter growing up. And that was obviously like traumatizing information for her to learn. And then she also recalled a time that her father had to go to court because he bought some teenage brothers beer. And she reflects on what she thinks actually happened in that scenario, and that it was definitely more than just buying alcohol for teenagers. But that's what the court documents ultimately outlined. Both Alison's parents were English teachers. So her father often tried to relate to Alison through books and sharing discussion around books. He loved James Joyce. He loved Fitzgerald. The like theme of literature is actually very present throughout the entire book, whether Alison's mentioning a book specifically or relating to a story, or even just in the images themselves. There are lots of different books mentioned. And she mentions that it was sometimes obnoxious that her father would only speak to her about books and that was always so invested in what she was currently reading, but that it was nice to have his attention in some way. And at one point he gave her a copy of Earthly Paradise by Colette. And she's like sometimes wondered if he really knew what he was doing at that time, if he knew that she was a lesbian, or if it was just maybe like kind of a subconscious action that took place. But Alison and her father only actually explicitly acknowledged each other's queerness in one scene, and it was while they were driving to the movies on a visit home from college. So he shared with her that he wanted to be a girl when he was a child, and that he used to dress up in girls' clothes when he was a kid. And Alison was really excited and responded she wanted to be a boy when she was a kid, and remembered how she would dress up in boys' clothes. But the excitement turned from excitement to like shame, and it was definitely more somber for the rest of the drive. And they didn't really talk about it beyond that. And Alison shares that she wondered how her dad's life might have been different if he was able to live outside of Beach Creek, where he lived his entire life. What things might have looked like if he came out as a young adult. But she also realizes the impact that that may have had on her own existence. Had he not married her mother, for example. She also acknowledges that her father, oh, we gotta back up. We haven't even talked.
He's dead.
Wait a minute. early on. Wait. Really early on, we learned that Alison's father has died, and that she believes it to have been by suicide. He died while he was gardening in trying to make this garden perfect. He was carrying flowers across the street and was hit by a truck. Alison shares that it was shortly after all of the revelations from her mother had taken place. And so, and additionally, her mom had just asked for a divorce from her father. So I think it was like 2 weeks after her mom asked for the divorce that he died. And had he not died, Alison wonders if he would have lived that much longer because of his lifestyle, considering the AIDS crisis that was ongoing. So Alison's definitely empathetic towards her father without ever excusing his bad behavior. She provides a lot of context, and she acknowledges the facts, but she's never excusing any of the things he did. And she also shares the impact and harm that it caused. She definitely had a tumultuous relationship with her father, but they did have a unique bond. And she really resented the way that he treated her throughout her childhood, but she still wanted his attention. She still wanted a relationship with him. Even at the end, we see her closing with this scene of her jumping into a pool and wanting her dad to catch her. And she was able to hold empathy for him and love him while still acknowledging some of the terrible things that were ongoing. And just the impact that his choices had on his own life as well. But there are definitely themes back and forth between Alison's relationship to queerness and her father's, and the difference between a repressed relationship to that side of himself versus Alison fully living into herself and becoming an actualized person through learning more about that side of herself.
Yeah.
It's so you did such a good job in
Kendra.
outlining. Yeah, bravo.
Well,
No,
thank you.
it's so good. There's so many layers of nuance and complexity in this because, like you said, there's this. Her relationship with her own identity is kind of, it's not mirrored, but it's kind of she even describes it at the end as being an inversion. There's there's an inverted. They're both contrasts that fit perfectly to each other, her and her father's experiences, but the way that it's written makes it very clear that her father was abusive, was a pretty dangerous dude. They even come across a picture of a young man in the nude in a box. He was very predatory. I mean, he was also an English teacher, and it was the football students that he'd invite over and take on weird trips when their mom was gone. There was a lot of that stuff. So we're holding that in one hand, and on the other hand, we're also holding the fact that this is her father, and she innately wants to love him and be loved by him, and she also sees how complicated his life is compared to how her life doesn't have to be that complicated. There's a lot of social pressures, and she's able to hold both of these while having compassion, a daughter's, I don't know, fealty to her parent, I don't know, and while also being I don't have to be that, but she never says it outrightly, which is really interesting to me. But you never get the feeling that she's making excuses for her dad. she's like painting the full picture, and I don't know how she did it so well. Like she wrote it in such, and the
So well.
images, because it's a graphic novel also, to make that very clear. I don't like, I just feel like a lot of other writers would create excuses or justify all of their feelings and over explain, and I don't feel like she did that in any way. I don't know how, like, I just don't know how she did it. It's
It
incredible.
was a piece of art. Just like the depth that she went in, like to totally combating the stereotypically like simplistic art form of comics, but like pouring so much depth into it. Definitely one of the deeper memoirs that I've ever read. And just like so much reflection on, like, it felt like every part of her upbringing was under a magnifying glass, whether that was her own thoughts, the actions of her father, actions of her mother, actions of the people around her. And I thought that was really well done. And it felt fair. Like it never
Yes.
felt like she was unfair to anyone. She gave people a benefit of doubt when it was warranted. And like even with her dad's death, she also leaves that open for us as well, of like maybe he did just, like, this stack of leaves or whatever blocked his
Yeah.
view of the road and like he couldn't see the truck. So yeah, I thought it was really well done.
She said
Yeah.
that it was like a 6 to 7 year process of writing and drawing this book. And I'm going to find the quote, but it sounds really intense. um, because also, like, to know, I think in the book it explicitly says that she has OCD, or there's something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she has some sort of neurodivergence. I think it was OCD, where she had to like count
Yeah.
everything. Yes. Um, which is also so interesting because, like, I think a shallow read of this would be like, oh, all of these problems were because of her dad. But also, we can't say that. And she doesn't make that jump at all. Um, yeah. And I have a feeling that her OCD also played a role in her, this like project, and how intense she dove into every single
Mm.
part. Oh, this is what she said. She said, it was such a huge project, 6 or 7 years of drawing and excavating. It was sort of like living in a trance. And yeah, talk about patience and a willingness to like really go through it. And I think
Mm.
that's why it's so fair. I think she really did the work.
Yeah.
Whatever the work is that we always say, quote unquote, the work. She's doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as someone who is like hey, let me know what I need to get done and I'll get it done. If like you tell me go to therapy and what you will come out with is this beautiful piece of art, then heck yeah, I'll do that. I can do that. I have like an end goal versus like, like go to therapy and like work on yourself and like break generational trauma. I'm like, cool. What does that look like?
Can you give me a standard operating procedure for that?
Yes, exactly. Like, what is the deliverable you want at the end of this?
Deliverable. You need a checklist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you so this was one of, like, from what I've understood, this is one of like the first big lesbian works that has hit the mainstream and become like a New York Times bestseller, outside of like more closeted Victorian work, that you can justify or say is not what it is. For you reading it, Kendra, did you sense any like stereotypes or like anything that you were like, interesting, this was definitely written in the early aughts? Or like, do you think it would be different, the presentation of it would be different if it was written today with a lot more knowledge about gender identity and orientation and like.
Yeah, I think potentially. And I think the way Alison Bechdel probably talks about it today is a lot different than the way she would have spoken about it then. But it also is very much her experience.
Mhm.
And so I think like she was true to what she was experiencing during those years. And even like the words she used were very much like verbiage of the time. I wouldn't feel super comfortable reading this book aloud based on some of the language that's used.
Yeah.
And like, I think because like it exists in the time period that it was written, like we can learn a lot from the language that is used as well. But yeah, I mean, I don't think Alison Bechdel is like a perfect example of queerness or of
No.
lesbianism by any means. But I think we can like take what is being said here and like, use it for our own purposes.
Yeah. I agree. It's a time capsule more than anything as
Yeah.
well. Something that I thought about a lot while reading it was like, and we encountered this with Mouse. I don't know if you remember that episode, our most fervent listener, Kendra, but the author of Mouse was nervous about um, his portrayal of his father, because his father kind of embodied a lot of the stereotypes of like a miserly Jewish man and the money things. Like there was a lot of stereotypes, but they were also true to who his father was, and he was really nervous about kind of expressing that. I felt the same way in this book, and like the stereotype of a closeted gay man in the 80s and 90s. There's so much horrible rhetoric affiliating homosexuality with like pedophilia. That's like the excuse on the far right? And so having her have to go into that, I imagine, was really like, even reading it, I'm like, I don't want this book to be out there because it just kind of keeps pushing that same narrative. But just like Mouse, like it's important to tell the truth, and we don't get to be the people who get to decide why, why he was doing those things. Was it because of his closeted stuff? Was it because of social pressure? Was it because of all this repression? Or was it just like he was not okay? And I think it was helpful too, especially that she is queer, because then we could contrast and say like, this isn't the only experience of a queer character in this book. Because
Definitely.
because that stressed me out so much. I was like, oh no, not another one. Can we not keep doing this about gay dads?
I think she also does that with like when they visit New York and she sees all the gay men in New York and realizing like, this is the life my dad could have chosen as well, except he chose this life to remain closeted, to take on the burden of like being an eldest son, needing to inherit a funeral home. Like they had to come home from Europe. Like they were like living an expat life, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, your parents died, you have to come home to, what was it, Pennsylvania? Somewhere.
Somewhere East Coasty.
Somewhere East Coast. Small town, and you have to deal with dead people every day of the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it in that way is like, it is relatable to a degree. Like she paints her father into a relatable character, even though like we don't have these sexual experiences with extramarital, with younger people, etc. But like, we to some degree have felt societal pressure, familial pressure, and like can relate to that, and like to see that burden be placed on someone like that when they want to do something else with their life. I feel like that's such a universal feeling, because it's such a privilege to be able to do whatever you want in your life. And we've all had to make concessions here or there, so I thought that was also beautifully done as well. To have like, a father is such a complicated character. To have someone who like you don't really want to like because he is horrible to his family, is a predator, but then you see the whole picture. It feels like Toni Morrison-esque, where like she doesn't pass judgment on him necessarily. Like even when she talks about the abuse, she's like, this happened. There was a lot of yelling. There was a lot of, things were broken.
Yeah, like she's not protecting him by keeping
Mm-hmm.
anything from us, but she's just laying out what happened.
Yeah.
What do you guys feel about, like, something that was really stark for me was the letters she found exchanged between her parents before they got married? Like those really flowery love letters and her parents' marriage just in general was really fascinating to me. It feels like the dad was like almost creating this story that wasn't real and likening it to, well, he even likens it to Gatsby, and not Gatsby, The Young and the, what's that book called? The Young and the Beautiful, The Bold and the Beautiful, The Young and the, what?
It's a very, very Fitzgerald.
The Gatsby book that's like, oh no, it was This Side of Paradise is the one that he would liken it
Yeah.
to. I really went a different Fitzgerald book.
My mind kept on wanting to say The Young and the Restless. And I was like, wait, yeah, that Fitzgerald
Still
classic.
close.
Yeah. Well, yeah, what was your takeaway from their marriage? Because like that was so interesting how much she dug into that too. Was really fascinating. How much, yeah, I don't know. I don't have like big answers, but I was just interested.
Yeah, I think they were definitely both getting something that they wanted from it in those early years. And if that was fantasy from each of them, like maybe, but it explained like her mom's dream of not living as traditionally and like experiencing the expat life and really enjoying that. And then her world came crashing down around her when she like realized the things that had been going on. But her husband also was able to like achieve this life that was separate and away from everything he had known through the military and through like traveling overseas. But he was able to do that with her, and I think that like provided him some comfort, and I like think a way to channel all of his like obsessions and interest in flowery writing.
Yeah. They both, well, because I think the mom was going to be an actress or something. Like there was something
She did a lot
about,
of plays and stuff.
yeah, she was in a lot of plays. Oh yeah, she was in a lot of plays because she'd read with her kids. So there was like this interesting, like the life that they should have had, but they couldn't have, kind of tension constantly, on so many levels.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think they were both getting something out of it. Because I think the wife knew the whole time that her husband was gay, right? I don't think it was a late revelation.
It seemed like she learned that during the years that they were in Germany before returning back to the fun home, because
That's
she
what I
has that
understood.
image of her mom before and after, like learning of everything. And maybe it was that she, you know, it could have been somewhat of like a lavender marriage potentially, where she had an idea of what was going on, but they were like both accepting the terms. And it wasn't until learning that he was doing a number of other things that they had not agreed upon. I mean, who knows what was going on there? And maybe it was never as explicit as that. But there was definitely a point in which she felt like she had been done wrong.
Yeah. I wonder if it was just like enough is enough kind of thing at the end, where it's like, well, if my daughter can come out and live authentically, then maybe like we don't have to do this anymore. Like, were they just, I kind of wonder if a lot of it was protection. But I think it's also really, it's telling that Alison doesn't dig into that dynamic as much as she does other things. Like, it's not that that was as formative as the decorating the house. Those memories. Prioritizing, which is such an interesting energy. Because I would, if I wrote a book, it'd be like all about the dynamics of my parents and me and how that impacts all my relationships. Yeah, that was really interesting to me because her mom, it doesn't even seem like an ally to anyone. She's just like a presence that's there. which is fascinating. Yeah, like she's
like,
not.
Dad feels very main character.
Yeah.
Of his own life, of everyone else's life. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and even Alison, it's like I don't really feel like her mom's response to Alison was as impactful ever as her dad's, which is so fascinating to me.
Well, yeah, like to contrast their letters, like I didn't necessarily feel like her mother accepted her queerness in that first letter. Like it was just more of like a
100%.
I can't believe this. Like you too.
Yeah.
Whereas like her dad, like I felt like there were only 2 times where her dad reached out to Alison with like genuine excitement. And one was when she was in his class and she was the only one who actually got the answers right. And she's like, gosh, like I teach total numbskulls and you are the only one worth teaching. And then the second time I felt that was after she had come out to her parents. He writes her a long letter of like, I did a lot of bad things, but I felt like I'm here for you. And like, now I get to talk to you. Now we can talk. And so it's interesting. Yeah. Part of me doesn't think he died by suicide because those sorry, someone's texting me constantly.
Oh, sorry. Popular
But yeah,
girl.
so popular.
The letter he
Something
wrote.
about the
The
letter he
authentic.
wrote.
Yeah. His
Oh
authentic
yeah. So
relation. Yeah.
and because that happened so close to his death, like I feel like that had been an opening perhaps of like hope of like, oh, someone in this family is going to get me. And even if that divorce, well, I don't know, that could have been a big blow. But like and I'm speculating a ton, but like I take a lot from that letter of like, oh, this is hopeful. Like I get to like live somewhat vicariously through Alison and like come out through her and like let her live her life that I wish I had. Help her live authentically. And so that's like kind of where I read his death in as an accident. But I don't know.
Oh, I 100% disagree.
Yeah.
What do you think, Kendra?
I think I agree with Alison. I think like the way that he spoke about or wrote about some note took about some of the literature he was reading at the time, including Camus, and like she spoke to maybe not him fully understanding like the points that were being made, which was that like suicide is actually pointless, but him and that's also like not hard evidence. It's just something that she is looking to. But I think there are like multiple instances pointing to him at least thinking about it regularly. And it could have been, you know, he had moments of being fine as well and like moments of excitement, but coupled with those like moments of darkness, like sometimes the brightness isn't strong enough.
Yeah.
That's kind of my take on it. I think I agree with Alison's opinion, but I appreciate that she explores like all of the other avenues and argues against like her own assumptions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I see those interactions with him and Alison, those like really like he's like excited about that connection. I see that more as like kind of narcissistic or like very ego driven. It's only the moments where he sees himself in his daughter that he gets excited about her. That's how it felt to me, was like when she was good at the books, like at reading the books that he cared about, was he excited. And then when she came out, he was like, okay, I see myself in you. I'm excited. I can now like kind of pull that, but it still didn't feel like it was about his daughter as much as each of those experiences were about him. And so, and just like the choices he made, and the home was a reflection of himself, which is why sometimes the like interior design choices or like having to shut off or like spend time in those spaces instead of actually like parenting was way more important because it was about him and how he presented. So I saw those moments as like they're fleeting and they were a little bit tender to an extent, but also it had nothing to do with Alison. I really felt like it was more about his ego was being filled, and and I just think a lifelong of like kind of being a no, like being a pretty abusive dude on many levels in the community, going to a court case for giving underage children alcohol, his wife like silently knowing about it, not really having any like, it didn't seem, and granted I am pulling a lot that might not actually be there, but it felt like reading that he didn't have any real relationships with anyone. And that there was also a lot of depression and other things probably going on and impulsive behavior. And so it's not a stretch for me to believe that he died by suicide. I can't imagine all of that coming out and then seeing his daughter. He doesn't have an excuse anymore for his behavior because his daughter's not engaging in illegal things. And she's also queer. Like I could see that easily being like, oh, the shame is now real because now I can't just like put all of those choices into this box of like, I've been repressed, therefore. So so yeah, I don't know. So it's mixed for me, but I also feel like she has like Alison's ability to still have compassion. And just like Kendra was saying, that last square, that last image in the graphic novel of her jumping into the water and him catching her is like so tender and emotional. And I don't know if there were ever real like there was ever real safety in his arms for her or what, but that craving and that longing for that familial thing is so real and it doesn't go away even if your father has passed away. And that theme of death in the home, suicide, death of relationships, authenticity, innocence, like all of those things,
actual dead bodies.
Dead bodies. Like it's just like a really, I don't know, she plays with that in such a way that it doesn't feel like it's being thrown into your face the way some other authors would have. And I really appreciated that for sure. So I don't know. I think he was a bad dad, but I also see that he was a complicated whole human, and that's fair. Yeah.
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 That's an excellent way to put it.
Yeah.
Where, as you were saying that though, is that like a feature of baby boomers? To generalize a whole generation. But like in terms of like
it's such like a Renee Rapp energy, but yes, go on.
She scares me. The amount of her confidence is like so much that I can't bear to look at her. I'm like, you're
the light is
you're so self-assured. Like just,
you self-actualized when you were so young. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, truly. But yeah, I feel like I don't know. The more and more I learn about like how I parent, how the people around me parent versus like how our parents parented and their parents parented, it did feel like have some aspect of narcissism where like I don't understand why you're into this anime thing. Like, why aren't you into, the stock market like me? you know, and, or like refusing to play hide and seek because that is childish when that is literally like a 4-year-old's love language. It just feels like a total, I don't know. Everyone wants to be seen, but like it's interesting that like you don't know how to reciprocate it, even though that was the thing you wanted so badly as a child, and like therefore you want to give that to your child too. I don't know. Maybe there just never was there ever love there? between father and children.
Oh, like in general?
Not with baby boomers.
Oh, I was like, I think so.
I'm sorry.
My
I went wide and then I went all the way back in.
Yeah.
Are we just saying parents, they don't love their kids? That's the answer. Wait, so are you saying about give
Yeah.
me the scope of where we're going.
Okay, where we're going?
Kendra
We're
understands.
back in Fun Home.
Okay.
Yeah, I do think there was love in the home,
Totally.
but I think that like it wasn't fueling the behaviors. What was fueling the behaviors was like obsession and selfishness and ego.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like the home was centered around love by any means. And I do think there is like a generational aspect to a lot of his behavior, in that like we don't really get an apology from him ever. He's like saying, yeah, I did these things, I know, I did these things, we're kind of on the same page about that, but like I'm never going to say I'm sorry or that I was wrong, even though I know it was wrong. Like, and I think, there's something there without fully generalizing. Yeah.
Okay, we're not generalizing a whole generation. Our
I
whole
know.
baby boomer demographic that listens to this podcast.
Yeah. We wouldn't want to upset the
Sorry,
demographic.
baby boomers. Sorry, mom and dad.
Yeah, because I think that there's a lot of parenting. I think like class matters a lot. I think there's a lot of dynamics to parenting styles for sure. But I agree with what Kendra's saying. I think that that's the great irony of the title of the book, Fun Home, is that it is. I think that there was love. I think that that's like also what Alison is grappling with, is being loved and accepting what her dad could offer and also loving him back too. But like, did you guys see what's that movie with Michael Keaton where he's like an actor and he plays Batman, but it's like not Batman. He's like
Birdman?
Birdman, thank you. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, the mom kind of reminds me of, there's like the scene of the female actors and they start like hooking up, and there's like this like thing about like everyone in this cast is so desperate for attention and affection that it doesn't even matter if it's real or authentic. Like they hated each other and then they're alone and they're giving each other attention, so they just start hooking up. And but like every single person in this cast is just like such an unhealthy group where nothing is real, but it's all just about self-serving and like scratching that itch. I kind of feel like that's also what was going on with her parents, where both of them, they just needed attention and they needed the thing to make them seen. And that's also why they were literally kind of just like characters. Like and the house was even a character. Like there was not a lot of authentic relationship until Alison started like dating in college and meeting people and joining those groups and stuff. So like, also, it's just so important to go to college, guys. That's what I'm getting from all of the queer literature we've read, is that is literally where every single person finds out that there is a group that is like that they fit into, and that they are not, that there's other people like them. Yeah,
that's
been a mind-blowing like kind of theme for me, is every time.
Yeah, that's where she first encounters even the word lesbian, was in the book. Had not even like considered. Yeah. It's not discussed ever.
No.
Yeah.
And even her haircuts and her clothes were like shamed by both of her parents. Yeah. We're almost out of time, but Kendra, I want to ask, like, you talked about having read it first in college, or like around that time, or after college, I don't know, in your 20s, and then reading it again. What are the things that changed for you in the book, or what things like really stood out to you, or like, oh, I missed that, or
one, I think I was just like more familiar with a lot of like the references that she had made, having like read more of the literature that's mentioned in the book. So that was fun a little bit for me. But also, I think it just felt a lot more personal, and I've had more understanding for her father more than anything, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And her mother, like, especially in their marriage where like they both probably knew they shouldn't have been part of it, but because of like the societal pressure and the circumstances they were in, they performed this song and dance, and they ended up in the situation that they were in, and they like continued with that until the end. I also got married and like didn't realize the full extent of my queerness until into that relationship. And so like reading it now as a like fully liberated person, I guess,
Yeah.
like I resonated with what Alison was going through a little bit more of like, wow, this is so amazing. Like I'm really like understanding who I am for the first time. I'm yeah, I guess just like getting in, learning more about people that are similar to me, and meeting more people that are similar to me. And it's been interesting also, like people I've stayed in touch with that I knew during my early 20s when I first like would have read this book. Like seeing how many of them have also come out as queer, and
Wow.
it's yeah, it's interesting that even when I was like, as I just said, kind of performing this song and dance, or acting under compet, as I mentioned before, I think that I lost my train of thought. I talked about this with my therapist. She said that the reason that I was around so many queer people, even though we didn't know it at the time, is because like our nervous systems knew. And I don't know if there's any truth in that, but I think the sentiment is really nice.
I think so.
And I think it's interesting that there was like some like otherness there that I was connecting with people around me on. And now I'm like able to identify what that is and like seek that out more and find it in other people more, because I'm able to name it. But yeah, that's, I don't know, a thought I'm having.
Yeah.
I love that. It's like the book was first a window, and now it's like definitely a mirror for you.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. Yeah. And it also was, yeah, totally a window. It was just, I'm reading this as like, oh, that's a nice story. I love reading essays and memoirs. That's my thing. So I'm going to read this. And that was nice. And what
And I'm an
an
artist. Yeah.
exciting experience. Right. But yeah, this time it felt more real for sure.
Cool.
You mentioned this term, compat? What was it?
Compat. Yeah, it stands for compulsory heterosexuality. But it's like very much, I mean, I'm going to explain this terribly. Probably Google's going to do a better job for you. But it's like very much performing heterosexuality and heteronormativity because it's anything that I knew. Like I hadn't ever really explored anything else. And so I didn't ever understand that like that's what was going on inside. And yeah, that's like in a nutshell, I guess, what I can share.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's like, is it kind of like being closeted without knowing that you're closeted?
Yeah, I think that's definitely part of it. It's like very much like an unlearning of behaviors and like understanding that things that I had suppressed and repressed were like due to my queerness.
This checks out. This checks out.
Yeah. Aha.
Delightful. Delightful. Did
Yeah.
you read Genderqueer by Maya Kobab?
Yes.
Oh, that was also a wonderful book. I want to like put them side by side because there's like 20 years, not 20 years, maybe like 15 years difference of both of them being published. And the illustrations are so different. Like this book, Fun Home, was like definitely pencil. I don't know art language. All kind of things going on, and
They use
a
some
little
sort
bit
of art tool to
they
make
use
the
some
art.
sort of
Yeah.
like some sort of thing, and like very like realistic kind of. They like definitely used photographs and redrew them.
Yes.
There's a lot, and it's not very colorful. The book is not. It's like black
Not
and
at all.
white. There's like a little bit of like blue tones occasionally. But yeah, whereas genderqueer is like all color and much more cartoony. I'm curious. I'm not an artist, so I don't really have any language to say, but I think I'm curious why those choices of those art styles.
Yeah, I think that's definitely intentional, because I think I remember reading something or hearing something
Mm-hmm.
about Alison specifically choosing to only use the blue, the black, and the gray
Mm-hmm.
because it like contrasted what's expected from a fun home. And that like it was a very
Oh,
intentional choice that like this is in black and white essentially. Even though she's talking about like how colorful her home was and how
yeah,
intricate the wallpaper was and how it was filled with different colored florals, etc. That like that was an intentional choice. And I think like the themes in genderqueer are definitely different too. Like
yeah,
the
yeah,
themes of fun home are like definitely more rooted in trauma,
yeah.
and like in genderqueer I think maybe more in like exploration and like
Growing up in a
identity
commune.
and like
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And so yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense that the pages would be brighter in color as well.
That is so interesting. Yeah, Alison really likes to play with that term "fun home," the irony, the hidden meanings. Really doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because it could mean the funeral parlor, and like that's what she kind of like first draws the parallel
Mm-hmm.
to, but also the home that she lived in, and
Mm-hmm.
like all of the excitement that was going on there, and then the broader term of home not being the like structure of four walls, but
Mm-hmm.
being the environment in which she grew up. And I think she kind of uses it sarcastically a little bit too.
Totally,
um
because it doesn't sound fun.
yeah, no, I don't.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, I don't have any other thoughts. Do you? Do either of you?
Nope,
Any
those are
guesses?
all my thoughts.
Yeah.
Kendra, that's a lie,
Gave
and
it
I
to
know
you
that.
all. Boomers are bad parents. He
Boomers, all
That's
boomers
it.
are narcissists. Wait, one time, Kendra, Eden and I were talking about cults. This was a private conversation, but I'm gonna blast it. And we were just talking about how like different groups are like pretty culty, and Eden was like, "Outdoorsy people are a cult. They all have the same clothes, they all do the same things." And
Oh
I think
yeah.
about that all the time because I think that is one of the funniest, but kind of accurate, but also
It is
very
accurate.
a little unhinged. Okay, Eden, I know that's the
Okay.
hill you're gonna die on, but
Yeah, because every time I go, okay, there's like a language that you have to learn.
Mhm.
You have to stand on the side while like people coming who yields to who, and then you always like make eye contact like, hey,
But if you leave if you
keep
don't
going.
do outdoor if you don't do outdoorsy
You're
stuff,
almost
you
there.
have to, like destroy your life, which I think is like
I
kind of
Yeah,
mean,
what are the exit costs, I guess, aren't that high.
yeah.
But I don't know.
accidents happen up in the mountains. You're the veil between heaven and earth is thinner, and so like you're much closer to death in that way.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Financial loss buying all these like Patagonia stuff, you
Yeah, the
know.
REI membership also definitely signs you
Yeah.
into like a lifelong experience. Um,
That's true. You do sign up for life.
yeah, you do. It's true. Um, okay. Okay. Enough of
uh
that.
why do you think it was banned or
Oh,
has
right.
been
That's
banned?
something we
Yeah.
do in this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I definitely think, well,
yeah.
I think that the reasons that were probably pointed to for it being banned were because there are a couple of sex scenes within there. One
Oh, yeah.
depicting Allison and her girlfriend
Mm-hmm.
engaging in oral sex. There's another one that like they're in the bed together, but it doesn't necessarily like
Mm-hmm.
nothing is explicit. But
Mm-hmm.
I think those drawings were probably enough to be like, oh, like, this is
Yeah.
pornographic. We can't have it exist.
Yes.
But I think that is maybe just the excuse that was given, because really I think that's like the equivalent to a sex scene in a movie. Like, that does not like make the entire book about sex. Like, in no way is it actually. And I think the larger reason probably is that it explores themes of queerness, and
Yeah.
that, like, that's a really scary thing to have exposed, have exposure to. And yeah, those are my like initial thoughts
Yeah.
on the banning.
Yeah, and I imagine like the way book banners are distributing the information, they're probably just saying, "Oh, it's because of page whatever." Like pick up the book and like flip to that page, like, "Oh yeah, that should be banned," like completely taking it out of context.
Yeah, and I think because it's an image as well, opposed to a
Yeah.
description, like, it can be extra jarring potentially.
Especially if that's the only image that you see. But
Yeah.
the irony is that because they've drawn attention to it, I'm sure a lot more people have seen that image than have actually read the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
accurate.
Totally. All right, I will look this up. All right. All right, University of Utah, here we come.
A university?
Yeah.
Of
Okay.
Utah.
Of Utah, though.
A
Yeah.
University of Utah. Yeah.
Okay, so 2008, an instructor put Fun Home on the syllabus of a mid-level English course, Critical Introduction to English Literary Forms. One student objected to the assignment and was given an alternate reading in accordance with the university's religious accommodation policy. The student subsequently contacted a local organization called No More Pornography, which started an online petition calling for the book to be removed from the syllabus. Vincent Pecora, the chair of the university's English department, defended Fun Home and the instructor. The university said it had no plans to remove the book.
Wait, the organization's called No More Pornography?
Yeah. So that was just one. 2006, Marshall, Missouri.
Okay. This checks out Utah, Missouri. Okay.
Yeah, Utah,
Louisiana's
Missouri.
going to be the third one.
Let's see.
And Florida.
Okay, yep. South Carolina.
Oh, I didn't guess that one.
Duke. Interesting. It's happening at universities.
Yeah.
Rapid City, South Dakota called it a Marxist revolution, having books similar to Fun Home in schools.
Oh, wow, that's cool. This was Marxism in action.
Uh-huh.
It did talk a lot about class labor.
Anyway, thank you, Kendra, for coming on and for coming on and engaging in conversation with us, and for listening as well.
Oh yeah. Thank you so much for inviting me on. And please edit this as much as you can to make me sound smarter than I am.
First
came
off,
off great.
You came off really good. We want you on anytime you want. So if there's ever another book you're like, ooh, I could talk about that, we would love it.
Okay.
Seriously.
Burn This Book was produced by us, Eden and Nicole.
Music written by me and performed by my dad, Frank. Yay, that was great.